one of these two teams. Huemel Mata makes his way to the mound for the 1-0 Argentina. They had a win last night over the United States in the nightcap on Diamond 2. Canada, on the other hand, played their opener in front of the home crowd, a 10-2 victory over South Africa.
And Canada, the visiting team for this game, so they'll bat first. The lineup for the team in red, it'll be Mathieu Roy, the center fielder, batting first. Batting second, the second baseman, Brandon Horn. Brad Isakol, the right fielder, is batting third, followed by Steve Mullally, the first baseman. And Blake Hunter is the DP for tonight, batting fifth. Derek Mason is batting sixth, the third baseman. Mark Johnson, the left fielder, will be batting seventh. Ryan Boland, the catcher, batting eighth. And Chris Relushka is the shortstop, batting ninth. Sean Cleary is going to get the start for Canada, and of course, he will not swing the bat this evening. For Argentina, the defensive setup, working from left field to right field. Mariano Montero in left, Teo Migliavaca in center, and Alan Piquer in right. Gonzalo Ojeda is the third baseman. Gustavo Godoy is the shortstop. Ladislao Malarchuk is the second baseman. Manuel Godoy is the first baseman. Bruno Matroni behind the plate. And as you mentioned, Chris, Huemel Mata is the starting pitcher, the younger brother of Lucas Mata, who long-standing Argentinian pitcher on the world stage, and I've had the pleasure to watch him pitch. It'll be exciting to watch his younger brother get tonight's start.
Yeah, Huemel Mata, if you excuse me, an up-and-coming pitcher from Argentina, and he continues to get better and better. He faces Team Canada here tonight, and of course, Steve, the third team on the field, our home plate umpire tonight from the United States is Brian Sonak. Our first base umpire from Australia is Lee Evans. Tony Kayaruna from New Zealand is the second base umpire. Enrique Ramirez from Cuba is our third base umpire. And Mark Porteus, also from New Zealand, operating the 20-second pitch clock in center field and behind the plate.
And we're set to go. Wah steps in, and the first pitch on its way. Low and outside for ball one. Great crowd here at the Pepsi Center for this nightcap game of day number 2 between Canada and Argentina. And that just to the outside as well for a 2-0 count on Wah.
Matthew Waugh is your proverbial five-tool player. He can run, he can hit for power, he can hit for contact. He's an outstanding outfielder playing center field for Team Canada tonight.
2-0 pitch coming in. There's a strike. Make that 2-1. And we've seen some good pitching today, Chris, and we've also seen some good hitting off good pitching. So it'll be interesting to see how patient these Canadian batters can be against Mata. There's a ball slapped to the second baseman and the out.
Ladislao Malarchuk at second base for Team Argentina is smooth. He had a great game defensively yesterday against the U.S., looking good, scooping up that first ball from Matty Waugh for the first out.
Brandon Horn, the second baseman, batting second here for Canada. Canadians starting off with two left-handers coming up to the plate. And it looked like Mata just caught his toe as soon as he left the plate there, and that ball sailed away on him. So the count is 0-1 right now.
Brandon Horn, widely considered one of the best players on the planet. In fact, he is the poster boy for this tournament. Softball Canada choosing him for all of the in-house advertisement. He's also on the cover of the program.
1-1 pitch coming in. Horn looks at it, able to hold up his swing. 2-1 is now the count.
You see Bruno Matroni there talking with Brian Sonak. We saw this in the game last night with Argentina. Matroni is a veteran catcher, and he will have that conversation, just trying to establish the strike zone for his young pitcher tonight.
2-1 delivery. And fouled off by Horn.
Well, it's the first game for Argentina on Diamond 1 here in this tournament, Steve, but it is not Huemel Mata's first time throwing on this rubber. Argentina winning junior gold here just 3 years ago.
2-2 the count on Horn right now here in the top of the first, one away. And Horn gets a bat on the riser, and that's going to be a pop-up in the infield. The third baseman, Ojeda, makes the catch and retires Horn for the second out of the inning.
Interesting to note here for Team Canada, a lot of their starters and top guys did not play in the game against South Africa last night, getting their first at-bats of the tournament, including Brad Ezekiel here.
Ezekiel will line up. And a little bit of a change of speed on that delivery. In for a strike, 0-1 count.
Bradley Ezekiel, widely considered to be one of, if not the single best hitter in the world at this time.
And he punches one to center field, but it hangs in the air. And Migliavaca makes the running catch for the third out. It left on a line, but it sailed and hung up there enough for the center fielder to make the catch. So no hits, no runs for Canada in the top of the first as Argentina makes quick work of that, and we'll go to the bottom of the first, scoreless.
I think you were mesmerized by his body type.
Please join us in thanking our volunteer sponsor, Air North Yukon Airlines. They offer daily flights to Vancouver as well as regular flights to Calgary, Edmonton, Kelowna, Ottawa, and Yellowknife. Visit flyairnorth.com to book all of your travel. And for your safety, please be aware that during the course of play, softballs can be thrown and hit into the stands. Please be careful as softballs can travel at a high rate of speed. Please do not throw the ball back onto the field of play. Find a volunteer to pass the ball to.
Maybe throw up an Instagram pound every once in a while.
Getting set for the bottom of the first inning, Argentina coming up to the plate. They'll be led off by the center fielder, Teo Migliavaca. Alan Piquer, the right fielder, batting second. Ladislao Malachuk, the second baseman, batting third. Manuel Godoy, the first baseman, batting fourth. Following him will be the catcher, Bruno Matroni, in the fifth spot. Gustavo Godoy, the shortstop, will be batting sixth. Juan Zera is the DP, and he'll be batting seventh. Emil Mata, the pitcher, will be batting eighth, and Gonzalo Ojeda will be batting ninth, the third baseman. The DP in for the left fielder, Mariano Montero, so he'll be in the game defensively but will not go to the plate. For Canada, the defensive setup, starting in left field, Mark Johnson, number 19, Mathieu Waugh will be the center fielder. Brad Ezekiel is the right fielder. Derek Mason, the third baseman, Chris Walushka at short, Brandon Horn at second, Steve Mullally at first base, and Ryan Boland will be catching number 44, Sean Cleary, the starter. And an interesting about Cleary, you were mentioning to me off the air during warm-ups about the countdown clock for delivering pitches.
Yeah, for sure. Sean Cleary likes to work slow, take his time between pitches. It's part of his strategy, part of his success. He is not allowed to use that strategy here at the WBSC level, so it will be interesting to keep an eye on that. Also, this is Sean's.
As a pop-up on the bunt attempt and makes a nice play there for the first out as Migliavaca is quickly put away.
Yeah, Teo Migliavaca not letting me get my story out. This is Sean Cleary's first time throwing off this rubber. Normally teams start their ace on opening night, no matter who the opponent is, just to give them some reps on the mound. Sean did not see any action last night. Colin Walsh and Justin Schofield handling the pitching. So this will be Sean's first inning on this diamond here in Whitehorse.
He'll now face Alan Piquer, the right fielder for Argentina. And Canada playing nice and close. Looking for maybe a slap hit or bunt attempt here to get a runner on. The second baseman way in, standing beside Cleary.
So as we get a look at the infield, Brandon Horn is just to Sean Cleary's left. Piquer is a pure slapper, and this is adapted from the female game, this defense.
Swing and a miss by Paquer, and it's an 0-2 count quickly on the Argentinian right fielder.
And the idea behind that is to keep Mullally from having to charge and let Horn make the play. Now with 2 strikes, they go back into a regular set.
And there's a attempt at the pitch, so that'll be a strikeout if you're scoring, and 2 out for Canada here in the bottom of the first inning. That'll bring Malarchuk up to the plate, the second baseman for Argentina.
Last night in the first inning, Ladislao Malarchuk had a home run to get Argentina on the board against Tony Mancha and Team USA.
That pitch just outside. Cleary looking at the landing spot.
Yeah, you'll notice that about Sean. Very particular about his mound setup, and that's why I'm talking about not getting some reps in last night against a weaker opponent in South Africa.
1-0 delivery coming in, and a swing and a miss. Nice change of speeds by Cleary, and got Malarchuk swinging it out in front.
Sean Cleary started the championship game in 2015 in Saskatoon, relieved by Devin McCullough, who is coming out of the bullpen tonight.
Attempted bunt there for a hit, and that's fouled back and behind the backstop.
And some poor hands by the fans in the section behind the backstop. That was an easy play, bobbled and fell to the ground.
That's why they're in the stands and not on the field.
Sorry, I thought I was supposed to analyze the play. I think they were trying to protect that little sweetheart anyhow, so good on them.
1-2 is the count. Cleary trying to dust up the inning here and just getting a piece of the riser to stay alive at this at-bat.
All things looking well for Sean Cleary right now as we start. Absolutely, Ladislao Malarchuk has seen plenty of Sean Cleary over the years, both at international and club team competitions.
Still 1-2. And again, looking for a slap hit to get on base, but it's a strike 3 swinging. And Cleary works his way out of the bottom of the first inning. No hits, no runs for Argentina, and that leads us to the top of the second, scoreless.
Please join us in thanking our official suppliers, Air North, Molson Coors, Home Hardware, White Horse Motors, Super Safe Fence Rental, Patrick Robert's Production, The Rush 96.1 FM, and Standard Bus Yukon. And please join us in thanking our community sponsors, the City of Whitehorse, McNack Toyota, North 60 Petrol, Pizza Hut, and Total Track Yukon.
Top of the second inning we go. Canada sends Steve Mullally, Blake Hunter, and Derek Mason to the plate for the top 3. And we should get a good hand for Mullally coming up here. Where's number 33, the first baseman for Team Canada, and has been a long-standing pillar of this program.
Likely to be his last tournament in the red and black as well, Steve, and he's looking to go out with a bang. Of course, the hero of the 2015 World Championship game. 3 home runs against New Zealand in that game, propelling Canada to the 10-5 victory.
First pitch was low. And there's a strike as the changeup floats in. 1-1 is the count.
Mullally also drove in the winning run in the Canadian Senior Men's Nationals in St. John's, Newfoundland last September.
Mullally gets a hold of one and drives it down the left field line. He'll hold up at first base as Montero gets there quickly. And a good piece of hitting by Mullally as the leadoff man to get on base.
And that's what you want your leadoff man on after going down 1-2-3 in the first inning. Canada looking to get on the board now with the meat of the order and the hottest hitter in fast pitch, Blake Hunter. He ripped apart the Vancouver Challenge, and he had 2 home runs here last night.
Left fielder settles in, takes a pitch low and inside for a ball. You just see the focus in Hunter's eyes as he gets the signs from his third base coach. And Hunter trying to hold up there. Umpire will ask for help, and he does hold on, so it's a ball.
No swing, says Lee Evans of Australia, and that's how locked in Blake Hunter is right now. BC native, not playing too far from home here in Whitehorse.
A little more speed on that for a strike.
We'll have to get used to Brian Sonak's strike call as he makes the audible call first, then puts his arm up.
Hunter gets a piece of that one, and we go to 2-2 on the count.
Canada wearing their red tops, black pants here tonight. We will see a number of different combinations from the Canadians as the week goes on. Argentina wearing their whites with blue trim, same they wore last night.
2-2 pitch comes in, and there it is. Punched out is Hunter, caught looking for the first out of the inning. Again, a bit of a change of speed by Mott on that one.
Well, that's the key in this game of fast pitch, especially with these Canadian hitters. It doesn't matter how hard you can throw the ball, they'll catch up to it. It's when you start mixing in the off-speed stuff and changing spots, that's when these world-class hitters have the most challenge.
Third baseman Derek Mason steps into the box. And that's low and outside.
Some heavy BC flavor on this Canadian team. Derek Mason from North Vancouver, and he's been on the national team for just about as long as I can remember.
There's a strike. 1-1 the count on Mason. Mullally at first base after a single to left field. You think they'll attempt to steal with Mullally?
Well, you know what? Not many first basemen can steal bags. He can.
There's a shot, and that's to left field. Nice catch by Montero as he raced back to his left. And a little bit of a charge put in the ball by Mason, but not enough as Canada now down to its final out of the second inning.
That's a couple of loud balls hit off the bats for Team Canada here, but 2 out.
Mark Johnson, the left fielder for Canada, setting up. And again, a changeup floats in. A little nod of the head by Johnson saying, yep, that was there.
Mark Johnson, the first Canadian to wear number 19 since the retirement of Jeff Ellsworth. Absolute legend, now coaching the junior men's national team.
They got a big camp coming up in PEI in August.
If anyone's watching back in O'Leary, it's quarter after 11 on a Saturday night, and I'm sure Jeff is tuned in wherever he is right now.
1-1 on Johnson. Mullally, the runner at first, and that one skips into the Argentinian catchers for a 2-1 count.
Mark Johnson hit a home run to dead center field that cleared the scoreboard last night. Talked to him after the game. I said, I heard you had a home run. He said, yeah, it was a big one too.
There's a little bit of zip in that one, but it was on the outside part of the plate, just outside. So 3-1 the count now. And Mata with a dangerous count here against a good hitter. And popped up, that's going to sail out of play to the right side.
So full count, Mullally will be moving on the pitch with 2 down. The Argentinian infield reminding each other to hold your position when the runner goes.
Another key pitch coming up here early on in the game. And that's punched deep center field. It sails over the wall, home run. And the changeup floated a little too long, and Johnson made no mistake. You almost have to wonder if he was looking for that pitch the way he timed that perfectly.
Mark Johnson's a smart hitter. He's an opportunistic hitter, and you're right, Steve. Mata was going with a lot of off-speed stuff, bounced a lot in the dirt. Johnson picked up the spin and drilled it to right center field, 2-0 for the host nation.
So Ryan Boland, the catcher for Canada, stepping up to the plate. 2 away here, but a 2-0 lead for Canada in the top of the second.
Both Canada and Argentina have deep rosters. Ryan Boland bats in the middle of the lineup for any team he ever plays on, batting 8th for Team Canada.
Another off-speed pitch by Mata. Gets Boland twisting.
Boland is the older brother of Shane Boland, who's on the bench. The only set of relatives on the team.
Gets a hold of that one, but it goes the other way. Foul ball makes it 1-2. One-two delivery on its way, punched up the middle. Nice grab, spin, throw, and they get him on a nice play by Marlachuk to get the third out. It wasn't easy, but Canada strikes for 2 hits, a single by Mullally, and a 2-run shot by Mark Johnson makes it 2-0 Canada as we head to the top of the third.
The Rush 96.1 FM is the official radio station for the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship. Tune in for all the latest championship coverage or listen online at ckrw.com. And Molson Coors is an official supplier of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship and proud supporter of Yukon softball community.
The jack shot's probably a little.
Home Hardware welcomes all participants to Whitehorse. As an official supplier of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship, they offer Whitehorse's only covered lumber yard.
While they're wearing a jack shirt. I think it should be more specifically while you're writing, like nothing. But like, what's getting you going on the field? Like, what a sweet pitch. Bam.
Leading off for the home team of Argentina, wearing number 27 is the
Going into the bottom of the second, Canada with a 2-0 lead over Argentina. Steve Savard along with Chris Abbott on Sports Canada TV and Ballpark Broadcasting, bringing you all of the action from Whitehorse, Yukon this week. Day 2 coming to an end. Canada, Argentina still have some work to do, though. Leading off, Manuel Godoy, the first baseman for Argentina, and swings through one, delivered by Cleary.
That drop ball fell about 8 inches right before the plate. Godoy 0 for 2 last night in the win over the U.S. He did have a walk.
We'll have to watch a little bit. Cleary still looking at that landing spot. Gave it another little check as he walked back there after that first pitch. Delivers the ball that time. We're at 1-1. Godoy slams it deep right field, but that will stay in the park. And a good catch by Ezekiel. And that's 1 out, a long out.
Certainly was. Brad Ezekiel standing at about the 256-foot mark in this 260-foot field.
Bruno Matrone, the catcher for Argentina, steps up now. Inside pitch by Cleary.
Cleary and Matrone have played plenty of ball against each other. Seems they're always on opposite sides of the ledger, and here they are again.
Floats in a little high, ball 2. We had this discussion too off the air before the game about the more you see a pitcher in club play or whatever, the better chances you have against them.
Absolutely, it's familiarity.
2-0 pitch, Cleary, punch to the third baseman, nice play, throw down to first, and Mullally can't scoop it. It gets by him, no backup, and Matrone will end up on second base.
That is a great first half of the play by Derek Mason. However, unfortunately, he threw the ball away, and Mason knows that he can't make those mistakes. He did a great job to knock the ball down, but out of the range of Steve Mullally at first base.
Yeah, tough to say even if he made a good throw whether or not he'd get Matrone. I think he had a little more time than he thought with Matrone running, but it's now a runner on second with one out for Argentina, down 2-0 here in the bottom of the second. Up to the plate is Gustavo Godoy, the shortstop.
And he reached all 3 times he came to the plate last night against Team USA. He was 2 for 3 and reached on an error, scored one of the Argentinian runs.
Swing and a miss. No indication on the score clock if that was an error on the throw by Mason, so we'll have to double check that. 0-2 the count now on Godoy.
Well, I'll tell you this, if they don't score that an error, I'm calling poppycock on that, because that's a throwing error by Derek Mason, 2 bases for Bruno Matrone.
1-2. Cleary with the delivery, and in the feet of the catcher, thrown down to third, and it's off the bag, and Matrone able to get to third base. And some heads-up base running. It didn't scamper too far from Bolin, but what caught him is his reaction wasn't immediate, and Matrone read that and took off from second.
Couldn't find it right away, and Matrone knows just as well as anybody how hard it is for a catcher to corral that ball. And we'll use the favorited term, he runs well for a catcher as he scampers down to third.
There's a changeup in for a strike. And that will end the at-bat for Godoy. Caught looking for the second out of the inning, and Juan Zara coming up. He's the designated player in this lineup for Argentina.
Zara started the game in right field for Argentina last night, eventually did move to DP. He was 1 for 3.
Good pitch by Cleary to open up the at-bat. Hard and in on the hands.
Well, for my money, that's the hardest pitch to hit. If they can throw a strike in under the hands, there's no way that you're able to get to it.
Time is called. They're going to bring in a runner for Matrone. That's the 2-out catcher rule, of course. So Godoy being the last out will take third base. Matrone will go to the dugout and put on his body armor. Zara up at the plate. 0-1 is the count. And there it is through the shortstop. That'll send Godoy home. And Zara gets that bat head down low and able to punch it through the middle for an RBI single.
An unearned run for Team Argentina. They don't care if it's earned or unearned. They've cut the lead in half now in the bottom half of the second inning.
It's now Mata up at the plate. And overpowered on that first pitch of the at-bat.
Mata started the game as the DP for Team Argentina last night. He chased 3 rise balls in his first at-bat and struck out, and he was taken out of the game.
Well, they can't do that right now because they'll need another pitcher to start the top of the third if they do that. Mata with the 1-1 count, runner at first base, 2 away here. Argentina's cut the Canadian lead down to 2-1. And nice pitch by Cleary. Had Mata all up on that one, 1-2.
I tell you what I've learned here in Whitehorse today. The fans love the changeup. And they love seeing people getting fooled on the changeup.
Well, if that was me down there, I'd be corkscrewed into the ground right about now. Cleary with the nice, hard shot to strike out Mata and end the inning. But Argentina strikes for one. And it's 2-1 going into the top of the third. Canada looking to add to their lead.
Teamwork.
At the end of the third inning, there was 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left on base. Super Dave is a proud supporter of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship, the Yukon's #1 space fence rental, and propane supplier. Super Save provides for all your special event needs. Standard Bus Yukon is the official transportation provider of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship. From industrial to employee transportation or corporate travel to athletics, using standard chartered fleet services guarantees safe and reliable group travel.
Where's Junkie? Leave a puck somewhere. No, sir. No, sir.
We go to the top of the third inning. Canada sending Chris Walushka to the plate, the shortstop. Ninth batter in this lineup. Then they'll go to the top of the order with Juan Horn ready to go.
Everybody knows the language of music.
Talked about the BC contingent. Chris Walushka is from Victoria.
Yeah, one job catcher.
First pitch is a ball.
Walushka was 2 for 3 in last night's win over South Africa.
He can't put catching on.
Nice pitch
Which case?
from Mata. Evens the count at 1-1. Thoughts with those in the southern portions of BC. The emergencies with the forest fires that are happening in the southern part of the province. So thoughts with everyone down there.
Yeah, just terrible news we woke up to. I guess we got it a little bit late last night here in Whitehorse.
2-1 pitch coming in. And that ball sails high. 3-1 is now the count on Walushka, the leadoff hitter for this third inning for Canada.
So it's not like it's a one-run game.
Change up, drilled up the middle for a hit. Walushka is going to look at second, but he'll hold up as Migliavaca got to that ball pretty quickly. And you have to start to question whether or not they should be calling that many change-ups, because Canada's going to be looking for that pitch the more you throw it.
Well, if you throw a changeup every at-bat, then all the guys are going to say on the bench, hey, he's throwing a changeup every at-bat, just wait for it. And right away, we've got a meeting on the mound for Team Argentina. They've got a deep pitching staff, so it'll be interesting to see how long they let it go. Of course, Ramon Godoy on the bench, and last night's starter, Maxi Montero, available as well.
Well, the thing about the changeup too, Chris, is it only works if you can locate those other high-speed pitches, because you're not going to fool anyone. If you're throwing risers and drop balls for balls and they're not swinging at it, the changeup's not going to do anything for you.
Exactly.
So you have to establish at least another pitch to get that working. So Mata gets his instructions from the coaching staff, and he's set to go as Mathieu Roy comes into the batter's box. The center fielder was thrown out at first base. He hit the ball to the second baseman in that first at-bat. This time he comes up with a runner on.
So it talked about Waugh his first time around. He can hit for power, but he can also lay you down a bunt. And his sacrifices are never easy sacrifices because he runs like a demon.
Pitch in, and Waugh able to peel that bat back as the pitch came in high. Talking to our colleague Lance Wynn, too, is if Waugh can pull out a base hit and move the runner by using a bunt, that's an opportunity, too, because if you have the speed and the capability to do it, then by all means. 2-0 pitch comes in. That's outside. And Mata looks like he's getting a little frustrated here.
Well, the zone is tight right now from Brian Sonak of the U.S. Must have been just outside because it had great height.
3-0 is the count. And there's a strike. Looked like Waugh was taken all the way.
So big test for Huemo Mata right now.
Malushka at first base. 3-1 the count. Malushka doesn't take off, and that's bunted foul. Waited for the contact, and now it's a 3-2 mark on Waugh.
See if John Stewart decides to put Chris Walushka in motion here. There's nobody out on the 3-2 count, but some good speed both at the plate and on the bases. The thing is, Bruno Matroni has a unregistered firearm for a right arm.
There's a delivery low and outside. That's a walk. So Brandon Horn, the second baseman, comes up to the plate with 2 runners on base. Horn flew out to the third baseman in the first inning. And now the Argentina infield sneaks in a little bit. If Horn can slap one hard, it has a better chance to get through the infield.
Well, the thing with a guy like Brandon Horn, much like Matthew Waugh, he can lay down a bunt, or he's also one of the top hitters in the game. Big gap on the right side of the field right now.
And shows bunt, takes the strike. It's a called strike. He's not saying that Horn pulled the bat back. He said that was in the strike zone.
And John Stewart just getting clarification. Horn had a little bit of a disbelieved look on his face. John Stewart, head coach from BC.
Well, when you said a big gap between the right side of the infield there, Chris, that's huge. The first baseman right on the line and in, and the second baseman shaded right towards the bag when they set up defensively, and with a left-handed batter at the plate.
Now we've got the coaching staff from Argentina pointing towards second base, maybe indicating that Chris Walushka is picking off signs from Bruno Matroni, but that is a practice as old as the game itself, and I don't believe it's punishable.
0-1, the count. Mata with the delivery, and Matroni pops out of that stance. And before, where that runner at second will just take too much of a lead off, and the catcher will throw it over the pitcher and gun him down at second. So Walushka's got to be aware.
Well, sometimes that fake bunt steal play is on to draw in the third baseman so the guy can run to an empty bag. It might have been a bit of a pitch out that time.
Swinging a foul back by Horn.
Great crowd on hand here tonight, Steve. Saturday night in Whitehorse. Don't know where else you'd be.
Opportunity for Canada here. 1-2 count on Horn. Nobody out. Pitch is outside. Make it 2-2 now. This is the spot where the little parts of the game play a big role. Where's the third baseman positioned? Where's the field position? How fast is the runner? The opposite field shot. That's going to fall, and no catch. It's a hit. Montero had a race for that. It was looped into left field, and he couldn't get to it. And Walushka able to score from second on the single by Horn.
Yeah, Matthew Waugh only moving up to second base. Horn still on first as that ball just got out of the range of Montero. The runners had to wait for it to hit the ground. Nobody out and still threatening with the number 3 hitter at the plate.
Ezekiel flew out to center field last time at bat.
Brad Ezekiel's got some fans here in Whitehorse. Also a special one watching back in St. The guy that should be here, Jason Hill, one of his teammates, wife Marcia, 39 weeks pregnant. They're from the same community that Brad lives in.
Low inside, 2-0 is, or called a strike, pardon me. It's going to be 1-1. Ezekiel. And punches it deep. That's deep and gone. A 3-run shot by Brad Ezekiel gives Canada the 5-1 lead here in the top of the third.
Well, that is just what Brad Ezekiel does. Over and over and over again. He had the winning home run in the Pan American Games final. And here he is right now, dominating for Team Canada.
And it doesn't get any easier for Argentina with Steve Mullally coming to the plate now. A hard single to left field and his first plate appearance back in the second. Strike one.
Still nobody out here is the important thing, Steve.
Sails in high. 6-1 for Canada, pardon me. Walushka scored earlier in the inning. So it is a 6-1 lead for Canada after that 3-run shot by Ezekiel. And Mullally chops it off his foot. Time immediately called, and those are the ones that I hate. Not only is it a strike, but you feel the sting.
But it hurts, yeah, for sure. Not the first time Steve Mullally's done that. He was looking to go back out where Brad Ezekiel hit that ball about 280 feet from home plate.
Luckily, I didn't hit the ball that hard, so it never really stung that bad. 1-2 pitch. Mullally swings through it for the first out of the inning. And Blake Hunter will come up to the plate now. Caught looking in his first at-bat.
Interesting that Argentina have decided to stick with Waymil Mata after giving up those 4 consecutive runs in the inning.
Mata putting a little more emphasis now. Looks like he's trying to go with a little more speed, and I don't think we've seen a changeup from him in the last few pitches.
And by eliminating that earlier in the inning, then the Canadians have a smaller selection of things to look for.
1-1 pitch. Low and inside. Becomes 2-1.
Got the feet of Hunter moving quickly in there.
Well, you make a point. They're only one out in the inning, Chris, and how much more does Mata have in this inning?
And not sure where that pitch was, says Waymil Mata.
Matrone shaking his head. Fouled off for the 3-2 count. There's Montroni. The catcher trying to guide Mata, but it rolls in and Hunter gets the walk.
Well, that was the changeup you were looking for, Steve, and again, bounced by Mata. So that tells me he doesn't have confidence to throw it right now.
And we're going to get a change.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to throw any more pitches here tonight. It's going to be Roman Godoy coming on.
Number 70 for Argentina. And Mata will go to the dugout. Tough start for the youngster, but you're at a tournament where you're dealing with the best in the world, and you're not going to fool everybody every time, and the Canadians keying in on some important pitch counts and able to get a hold of a couple and have a 6-1 lead.
Yeah, that home run by Bradley Esco really busted this game open like Ric Flair in a steel cage match in the mid-'80s, but it's going to be a challenge for Team Argentina to get back into this one. This will be Godoy's second appearance of the event. He came on in one inning, pitched the 7th last night against the United States. A clean inning. He got a ground out and 2 strikeouts to finish off Team USA.
So Godoy will come in. He has a runner at first base and 1 away, and it's going to be Derek Mason coming to the plate. Flew out to the left fielder back in the second.
So the substitution is Montero out.
So they made a whole bunch of defensive changes, Argentina. Sounds like they're going to keep Mata in the lineup for the stick.
So Mata moves to first base. Manuel Godoy moves to left field. And Roman Godoy comes in for the flex player who was, or he comes in for Mariano Montero. Yes, the flex player.
Derek Mason to the plate. 6-1 lead for Canada right now. Trying to add to the total. And there's a pitch delivered. And it was a ball. Low and outside on that one. So Godoy in the hot seat for Argentina. 2-0 count on Mason. Mason drives it through the hole on the right side of the field, going to third. Look out, bad throw. Gets by everybody, racing home. The throw to the catcher doesn't work to third. All hands safe as Argentina's throwing it around. 7th run of the game scores for Canada, and Mason ends up at third base.
Well, that was as a peculiar play as you will ever see. Derek Mason singles through the right side, and it was the heads-up running of Blake Hunter that forced a throw from the right fielder, Paquer. Paquer's throw, he's taught to throw it low so his third baseman can get it on a bounce, but it hits the second base bag and shoots off into foul territory. That allows Hunter to score, and Mason is in at third.
Mark Johnson now at the plate. And all Mr. Johnson did back in the second inning was punch a home run.
His second of the tournament, no less.
So, and he has a runner at third. 7-1 lead Canada at this point in time. There's a strike called.
Well, Steve, I don't think anybody saw this game going this way, least of which the two teams on the field. But Team Canada has been an offensive juggernaut dating back to the tournament in Vancouver and putting up 7 more runs here in just the third inning.
And they are the defending gold medalists, and you don't come into a tournament defending gold with a team that can't repeat. So And Johnson strikes out. He'll go back to the bench. Second out.
There were a few questions about the Canadian offense. They lost from the last tournament their number 3, 4, and 6 hitters, or 3, 5, and 6 hitters in Ellsworth, Hill, and Fairman. They've done a pretty good job replacing them.
So 2 away. Ryan Boland comes to the plate. Grounded out to the second baseman last time at bat. Still the runner at third base in Derek Mason. Now he's low and outside, 2-0. Still a big gap over on that right side. It's almost like the second baseman shading for the hitters to go up the middle.
Well, that's the exact hole that Derek Mason put the ball through and led to all the chaos a couple of moments ago.
3-1 now the count, as Boland was taking all the way. And if Boland's able to get on base here, the Canadian team will have batted around. Fouled off by Mr. Boland. Chris Walushka on deck.
Boland's mom, Janet, in attendance here in Whitehorse, made the trip from St. John's. He's another guy with a pregnant wife at home.
3-2 pitch coming in. That's going to be stroked over the shortstop and drives in another run. And the Canadians on Boland's single have batted around here in this third inning.
Eight to 1 now. Ooh.
We're going to get the 2-out catcher rule, and Mark Johnson's going to run out to first base and stand on the bag. So Walushka with a single to lead off this inning and get things going for Team Canada. 2 strikes in a row, 0-2 count now. Asking if he swung, looking down to first base. Nope, did not go.
Not even close. Any way at all to get back to the dugout right now if you're Bruno Matroni. Because as bad as it is for everyone out there, the catcher's got it the worst in these long innings.
And there's the punch out to end the inning, but Canada tacks on a few more runs, half a dozen, and they lead Argentina going to the bottom of the third, 8-1.
And there were 6 runs, 5 hits, 1 error, and 1 left on base.
Oh my God, Tanya really wants to go to this.
We'd like to thank Mizuno for their support of the World Baseball Softball Federation. Mizuno is an official supplier of the WBSC and the Men's World Championship.
To wear a kilt or to be in the Highlands.
This event would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors, including our premier sponsor, Pepsi. Pepsi, the Yukon's choice.
Duh, good boy.
The 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship is funded in part by the government of Yukon.
All right, we go to the bottom of the third. Argentina playing catch-up here, down 8-1. And it'll be Gonzalo Ojeda, the third baseman, coming up to the plate. His first appearance in tonight's game.
Ojeda hit a screamer of a home run last night off Tony Mancha.
Good thing these ones didn't grow to full.
It got out quicker than it came in.
Cleary still in the circle for Canada and throws a first pitch strike.
Be interesting to see how Cleary rebounds now after being in on the bench for about 20-25 minutes.
Little high and inside. Double-edged sword because you want the run support,
Exactly.
but your arm's cooling down while you're sitting there. Hopefully the adrenaline can keep him going and give his teammates a little thank you for putting up that 6 spot. What a change up there, and had Ojeda way out in front for a strike.
And that's just a little message to Huemel Mata to say that's how you throw the changeup.
1-2 the count. Throws one high. Now the score clock in the outfield is showing 3-1, but
We
it's
got it
2-2.
right in here, absolutely.
The umpire just flashed the signal.
Got to trust our staff in here.
Swing and a miss for the third strike. And the first out of the inning. Argentina will bring the top of the order up. Teo Magliavaca coming to the plate. Attempted a bunt in the first inning and knocked it into the air right into the glove of Cleary for the first out. So
They don't come any easier than that. The little bunt back to Cleary.
now here's the problem for Argentina. It's got a few guys off the top that don't hit for power, and they look for the little holes. A little easier to not worry about the four-bagger. And there's a bunt, a good one. Magliavaca down, and he's safe. Got down the line very, very quickly. Brian Bolin pounced on it as good as he could have, and catch the speedster.
That was in a perfect spot. Bolin had to get out from behind the plate. He made a perfect play, but it was just purely the speed of Magliavaca getting down the line. But Bolin made it close.
Paquer, the right fielder, now up to the plate. He struck out back in the first inning. Definitely a stealing threat on the base paths for Argentina right now. Another bunt attempt that's fouled off.
Be surprised to see anyone running down 7 runs, though. And the thing here for Canada is they don't want this to kind of morph into anything. They want to go after Paquer right now, get the second out, then deal with Ladislao Malarzuk.
One away in this inning after Ojeda's strikeout to lead it off.
Just want to give you options.
There he goes. Nice throw, and they got him. Bolin with a cannon from behind the plate. Not only was it hard, it was right where the glove of the shortstop was, and he didn't even have to move his glove to make the tag.
No, and they made a liar out of me, but I've got to question that decision there by Team Argentina. Maybe just trying to get something going here in the third inning, but it's certainly not going anymore.
So 2 out. Popped right to the second baseman, and that will take them out of the inning as Canada's defense lined up perfectly in that situation. So Argentina goes 1-2-3. They do get a hit, but that runner was erased on the caught stealing. And Argentina right now down by 7 as we head to the top of the fourth inning. 8-1 Canada.
Please join us in thanking our volunteer sponsor, Air North Yukon Airlines. They offer daily flights to Vancouver, as well as regular flights to Calgary, Edmonton, Kelowna, Ottawa, and Yellowknife. Visit flyairnorth.com to book all of your travel.
You know how the guy who they think they're trying to get
Please join us in thanking our official suppliers, Air North, Molson Coors, Home Hardware, Whitehorse Motors, Super Save Fence Rentals, Patrick Robert's Productions, The Rush 96.1 FM,
go to the top of the 4th inning. There's Jim Flanagan, ballpark broadcasting leader here in Whitehorse.
He is the Don Flanagan from the LBC, the lone American on our squad.
So Canada will send the top of the order to the plate. Matthew Waugh, Brandon Horn, and Brad Ezekiel.
There you go. We'll get you there. Ezekiel. It's a Newfoundland thing. Most people around the fast pitch circuit don't get it right.
That's fired down the third base side. Everybody heads up no matter where you are on the field. Here's Watt standing in with 1 strike on him. He walked back in the 3rd. Strike 2 called. And in the 1st, grounded out to the second baseman. So he's officially 0 for 1 in 2 plate appearances with a walk. There's a shot right down the middle. Waugh doesn't agree with that, but he's punched out for the first out of this 4th inning. Brandon Horn now stepping to the plate. A single back in the 3rd. Flew out to the third baseman in the 1st, so 1 for 2 on the evening.
Sounds like you have a superpower. Your superpower is not getting rid of.
Canada won't be content here with just a 7-run lead. They're going to try and get a couple more, maybe try and get out of here in 5.
That one fouled off, and Horn, he knew he just missed it. That was his pitch. He had it all lined up.
Brandon Horn from Waterloo, Ontario, almost your neck of the woods.
I'm just an hour west of Waterloo in a small community, Wingham, Ontario. Spent a lot of time in Kitchener-Waterloo, though.
It's a beautiful area. I love it. I've got family there. And a great fastball town.
2-1 count on Horn. Just a little bit ahead of it. First baseman bobbles it, and they don't get him.
That was close.
That was very close. It was shot to the right side and bobbled by Mata at first, and he shoveled it over to his second baseman, Malachuk, but they couldn't get Horn.
That was bang, bang. And Brandon Horn gets the benefit of the doubt from Australian umpire Lee Evans at first base, and Mata booted that one around. If he had picked it up cleanly, I'm not sure who was covering first.
Well, that ball came off the end of the bat, and it was one of those, and I played first, it's one of those that spin on you. And you really have to be controlled to pick it up, and sometimes they can eat you up like it did Mata. There's another one to the pitcher. They'll get the out at first, but that'll move Horn up to second base. Steve Mullally now coming to the plate, has a single, struck out in the 3rd, swinging. I'm sure the fans here at the park would like to see him get a hold of one here with a runner at second.
2 of those fans are Steve's mom and dad here in attendance.
There's a throw down to second, and Horn slides back in. We saw that starting to develop last inning. Matroni taking a look down, and now the coaching staff will come out and have a little bit of a talk.
This is solely about the sign stealing that has the Argentinian bench worried. In order to combat this, Bruno Matroni has to use a series of signs with Roman Godoy, much like you see at the Major League Baseball level or anywhere at all. But Team Argentina need to combat that, and it's an easy fix. So to use 2 of your defensive timeouts for that is a little bit of a head scratcher.
So they've discussed what they needed to. It's a 1-0 count on Mullally with 2 away here in the top of the 4th inning. And an 8-1 Canadian lead. There's a ball through the legs of Matroni, and that will advance the runner. Horn will get to third base, and now a little closer.
Well, don't worry about the sign stealing anymore. A wild pitch gets Brandon Horn to third base.
You mentioned Steve's parents here. I don't care what level you're at, how old you are, how young you are. It's always nice to have mom and dad at the ballpark.
You are 100% right, Steve. And, you know, some of them aren't fortunate enough to still have mom and dad with them. So for both of the Mullalis to be here all the way from freshwater Placentia Bay, Newfoundland, Labrador.
3-0 pitch comes in. That's called strike. Mullally taking all the way.
Which is literally the other side of the continent.
An important 3-1 pitch here. Mullally watches it, and it's called a ball, and that will put Mullally at first for the walk, and Blake Hunter coming up. Blake with a strikeout and a walk tonight as well.
And we mentioned earlier 2 home runs last night, also 2 home runs in the final of the Vancouver Challenge against Team USA, which Canada won that championship just a week ago.
And he was swinging right away, takes a strike with that cut.
The Bob Law Memorial Vancouver Challenge.
That comes in high. You have to remember the rules in effect, too. If Canada pushes 2 runs or more across the plate and they hold Argentina to zip in the bottom of the inning, that's a mercy. So Argentina trying to keep those runners.
Yeah, 15 runs after 3 innings, 10 runs spread after 4, 7 after 5.
Time called by the home plate umpire before the pitch was delivered, and Montroni not happy with that.
That'll be no pitch. Roman Godoy. It's the ball back on the mound. And you know what, Steve? No pitcher wants to enter a game down 6-1, now 8-1, and they just want to get out of there, frankly.
1-2 the count on Hunter. And that comes in a little too high. So Godoy in trouble here. Godoy focused in. Comes in and Hunter swings through it for the strikeout. That will do it for the inning. But Argentina needs a run here because they are 7 behind headed into the bottom of the 4th inning. It is an 8-1 lead for Canada. We'll be back.
These idiots playing. So you can't play left field. I don't even know if you should be around those children. I feel like my t-shirt's like I like my beer from a beer case.
Bottom of the 4th inning we go. Argentina setting up Malachuk to the plate. Struck out swinging in his first plate appearance back in the 1st inning. Canada up by 7, so trying to keep Argentina at bay. And Malachuk made the motion to bunt, but had to jump out of the way. Really at this point, you need solid singles, hard-driven balls. I don't know if the short game is going to help you a whole lot.
Well, I guess the only thinking is to try and get some runners on, but then once they got the runner on last inning, they ran him off the bags.
Pitch comes in high, 2-0. And it was another long break for Sean Cleary as well in that last inning. So we'll see how he reacts this time around. That one was just outside. 3-0 now. And Canada in danger of having an Argentinian runner on base via the walk. There's the corner. Makes it 3-1. 3-1 pitch comes in. A little off speed, and Malarchuk fouls that off. Again, another attempt at a slap hit.
8:05 local time here in Whitehorse, and the sun is high in the sky, just as if it were mid-afternoon anywhere else.
Gorgeous skyline with all the pine trees and the mountains in the background. Pitch comes in, driven down the third base line, but foul. And they'll have to reset 3-2 on the batter.
There's a look at some of the crowd here in Whitehorse tonight. They're the bleachers down the lines. They're into the outfield. Only expecting the crowds to grow as the week continues here. Team Canada hosting the world, looking to repeat as world champions.
3-2. Bottom of the fourth inning, first batter. And another foul ball. Malarchuk, as the youngster looks down at his third base coach. And that's low. And we have a runner on base. Argentina will have Manuel Godoy coming up to the plate now.
Well, that was an excellent at-bat by Ladislao Malarchuk. He got ahead in the account 3-0. Cleary battled back, fouled a couple off, then worked the walk.
So Ryan Boland was able to gun down a steal attempt last inning. Argentina may be a little shy this time around to try to advance the runner without the help of the batter. 1-0 pitch, that comes in high. 2-0 now.
Well, you're down 7, Steve. It's simple mathematics. You can't score 7 if you don't get some guys on the bags, keep the inning going. So there's no need to risk anything here if you're Argentina. Just try and string some hits together.
2-0 pitch comes in for a strike. 2-1 now. Runner going and fouled off, or he swung through it. Did he get a piece of it? No, it doesn't look like it.
I thought it was a foul ball, but maybe not.
Swinging strike. The runner was on its way, and it looked like when Boland came up to catch the ball, the swing just caused enough of a distraction that he couldn't cleanly pick the ball out of his glove for the throwdown. So,
okay, so it was a foul tip. I knew I heard something.
Well, what? Not a foul tip because the runner's still on second. Swinging strike.
Okay.
Runner's on second. 2-2 the count. First runner in scoring position for Argentina in a while.
Refocus, yeah.
Not since the second inning.
Yeah, that was when Bruno Matroni reached second on a throwing error by Derek Mason, cashed in by a Juan Zera single, and that's the only Argentinian run.
3-2 pitch coming in, and that's popped up. Look out. And the shortstop will make the play. Luska waving off his teammates, makes the grab.
And now batting for the home team, Argentina, wearing number 28 is the catcher,
Bruno Matroni coming up to the plate. He got on base when he chopped one down the third base side, and error charged to the third baseman, Derek Mason. Cleary fires in the pitch, which is clearly high for a ball.
Update over on Diamond 2 right now, Steve. Czech Republic and New Zealand are playing in a Pool B game. That game is tied at 1 in the second. However, New Zealand have the bases loaded.
1-0 pitch comes in for a strike, 1-1. Yeah, New Zealand pretty anxious to face the Czech Republic again because of that loss at the tournament on the West Coast.
6-0 loss by the Kiwis to Czech Republic, so definitely looking for revenge.
1-1 pitch coming in from Cleary, swing and a miss. Matrone trying to, got a piece of it, but Matrone trying to keep up with that rise ball, couldn't do it. 1-2 now the count.
And talking to some of the New Zealand team and supporters, they did not, well, they made it seem like they didn't care about the result in Vancouver, saying this is when it really counts.
You always care about the result.
Especially with the pride of national representation by New Zealand.
1-2 on the batter right now, Matrone. Looking to drive another Argentinian run home, and he gets caught on the changeup way out in front. And that's a strikeout for Cleary and the second out of the inning. And Gustavo Godoy coming up for Argentina here with 2 away. Godoy got caught looking back in the second inning in his first plate appearance. The Canadian infield making sure everybody has their assignments ready to go as Bolin walks back to the catcher's area behind home plate. And a high chopper. Walushka makes a nice play, throws it to first, and they get the out. And they get out of the inning, stranding the runner, Malarchuk, at second base. And the Canadians will go to the top of the fifth inning, leading 8-1.
There were no runs, no hits, no errors, and one left on base.
Get in that box, get them balls.
Please join us in thanking our community sponsors, the City of Whitehorse, Nickmack Toyota, North 60 Petrol, Pizza Hut, and Total Track Yukon. Molson Coors is an official supplier of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship and proud supporter of Yukon softball community. Standard Bus Yukon is the official transportation provider of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship, from industrial to employee transportation or corporate travel to athletics. Using standard charter fleet services guarantees safe and reliable.
So Canada will have Derek Mason coming to the plate to lead off this top of the fifth inning. The third baseman, 1 for 2 tonight.
It was Mason who singled to the right side his last time up, but that ended up with him on third base thanks to the throwing error by Alan Piquet.
Even with a 7-run lead, I'm sure the Canadian squad, I don't want to say they're not comfortable, but whenever you're in an elite tournament, you never know what can happen, and you always want to tack on as much as you can.
You can never take your foot off the gas, and until you're ahead by 10 or so, nothing is comfortable. They would like to get another run or two to make it possible to close this Argentinian team out and some breathing room in the bottom of the fifth. Canada, of course, back in action here tomorrow night, Steve. They draw the Americans here on Diamond 1. That should be an interesting game.
Argentina will face Hong Kong for an earlier game in the day on day number 3.
And if you weren't with us earlier, Team USA with what has to be considered a upset victory over Adam Folkard and Team Australia, 2-1. Nick Mullins driving in 2 runs with an RBI single, and that was the difference.
3-1 count on Mason right now. In comes the pitch. Mason gets a hold of it and drives that out of play.
That was over towards the fish and chip shack.
I was going to say, protect the fish.
Klondike Fish and Chips, I believe it's called.
3-2. In comes the pitch, and a strikeout as Mason couldn't hold up his swing, and he knew it. So that will be the first out of the inning. And Mark Johnson coming in. Johnson 1 for 2 tonight with a home run. Struck out back in the third.
Johnson from Glencoe, Ontario.
And push towards the shortstop. Nice scoop. High throw, though. Did he get on the bag? Yes. Mata. Nice job to reach up, grab the ball, and able to get the foot down on the bag before Johnson got down the line.
Little bit of a casual throw from Gustavo Godoy. And you're right, a good job by Mata to adjust, get back down, and Johnson retired.
You see a lot of first basemen in lower levels. There's a chopper that's going to squeeze up the third baseline. A throw, and Mata can't scoop that one. Look out. And Boland fell trying to round the first base and looked like he awkwardly took a spill. He'll try to walk it off. Now there is 2 away, so he'll go back to the bench, and the 2-out catcher rule comes into effect. But I was just going to say, you see so many first basemen try to get the ball without leaving the bag, and there's another example. Mata was trying to stick the bag and dig out the ball, but couldn't do it.
That's going to be an infield single for Ryan Boland, and he'll be grinning like a Cheshire cat after that one, as the catcher loves to talk about his blazing speed. And instead of using the 2-out catcher role, Ryan's younger brother Shane is going to come on and pinch run at first base. That's the change that head coach John Stewart was just making with Brian Sonak.
And Chris Waluska is going to bat here. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Single back in the third, and then struck out in the third as Team Canada batted around with a 6-run inning. So 2 out here for Canada in the top of the 5th. Waluska not waiting for any pitches, takes a cut at the first one and fouls it off. Shane Boland at first, wearing number 34. Pitch comes in a little low. 1-1 the count on Waluska. Strike 2. Now 1-2 on the Canadian batter. And that's just low and outside. Catcher had called it for that, trying to get Waluska to chase. Didn't bite. 2-2 now. That one was low. 3-2 Godoy kicking in the dirt in frustration.
Now Shane Boland will get a jump here. 3-2, 2 away.
And a strikeout as Waluska swings through it to end the inning. Canada strands a runner. So no runs, 1 hit. Canada still with an 8-1 lead, and Argentina needs a run here, and they're in danger of being mercied after 5 innings. We'll see what happens coming up next.
Super Save is a proud supporter of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship, the Yukon's #1 fence rental and propane supplier. Super Save provides for all your special event needs. White Horse Motors and Budget Car and Truck Rental are the official vehicle supplier of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Softball Championship.
Going into the bottom of the 5th inning, and it's going to be Juan Zara for Argentina coming in. He hit a single back in the 2nd inning. That drove in Argentina's only run, and then he was stranded on the base paths.
Cleary back out to try and finish this one off. Steve, we had seen Justin Schofield getting loose in the Canadian bullpen. Sean must be feeling good, though, as all is quiet down the right field line right now.
Well, he's pitched a great game, and I think you really do have to give your pitcher a chance to close it out. And there's a punch deep to left field, and that's going to go to the wall and clear it. And right away, Argentina jumps on a Cleary pitch. Solo shot, now 8-2.
Juan Zara hit that ball an awful long way. His 2nd RBI of the game, a home run and a single, and this game will go to at least the 6th inning.
Yeah, that nullifies the 7 runs after 5, as now it's an 8-2 lead for Canada.
And on cue, the Canadian bullpen jumps back up.
Yeah, now you have the, now with that run, get some more arms working here in the 5th inning. Cleary's done very, very well. Grounded back to the pitcher. Cleary stays in front of it, throws it to first and gets the out. No panic there by the Canadian pitcher as he was able to block the ball with his chest and keep it in front of him. And makes the nice throw to first to retire Mata.
Cleary's been active defensively tonight. He's gotten the job done.
Gonzalo Ojeda coming up to the plate, struck out back in the 3rd inning. The 9th batter in this Argentinian lineup. Takes a big cut at that first pitch for a strike. Oh, and 1 the count. Ball comes in for strike number 2.
Both Devin McCullough and Justin Schofield are throwing in the Canadian bullpen right now. You could just see it there behind pitching coach Dean Holine.
Dean Holine played for Saskatoon back in the day, played for Kitchener.
That Dean Holine, absolutely. The man who could throw a no-hitter and hit the only home run for his team.
There's a punch to the 2nd baseman. Nice scoop over to Mullally for the 2nd out of the inning.
Tough play for Brandon Horn. He was expecting that ball to come up a little bit. It stayed down, and the short-handed 2nd baseman was able to make the play, but certainly anything but routine out there, and a little exhale because he knows that nearly went through the 5-hole.
Teo Migliavaca coming up to the plate. Got a single the last time up at bat, but then was erased on a caught stealing, and right back to Cleary, and a nice grab there by the pitcher. And that will be the 3rd out of the inning, but the Juan Zara home run gives Argentina a 2 spot on the board. Canada's lead cut to 6, 8-2 as we head to the top of the 6th inning.
There was 1 run, 1 hit, 0 errors, and 0 left on base.
Stuck in his head? Or stuck somewhere else? It wasn't.
Matthew Waugh gets the start here in the top of the 6th inning as the leadoff hitter. He's 0 for 2 on the night. A grounder to the second baseman, caught looking at the plate, and a walk.
Came around to score with that walk in the 3rd inning.
And that goes to show you how walks will come back to haunt you if you can't keep them off the base pass. 0-1, and Godoy on the delivery, too much of the hip, and the ball sailed out of his hand. One and one. Comes in low.
Waugh is playing in center field for Team Canada. We haven't seen a lot of activity for the outfielders. But Waugh as the center fielder, Brad Ezekiel playing in right, and some fans may wonder why that's the case. Ezekiel is dealing with an injury on his throwing arm. So, of course, center field being the most important outfield position, they want to try and mask that a little bit while keeping his bat in the lineup.
And Waugh draws another walk. And the leadoff batter on first, Brandon Horn, coming up to the plate. Singled back in the 3rd inning. Takes a pitch for a strike. Look out, ball comes sailing into the park. Was that from the other diamond?
Yeah, foul ball from Diamond 2. There you see it getting tossed into Bruno Matrone. They're going to keep it on this field. It's all coming from the same pot.
They lost it. 0-1 count. And swinging right through it was Horn.
Not like when we were kids, you got to run over into the neighbor's yard and ask for it back. There goes another airplane over the field here out of Whitehorse. That might be military. It's hard to tell.
The airport, of course, right on the plateau as Horn swings and misses for strike number 3. And that's the first out. Ezekiel coming up to the plate, getting a huge hand from the fans here after he punched that 3-run monster shot back in the 3rd inning.
He has endeared himself to the fans in Whitehorse already.
Goes up to try to hit that one. It's to right field deep, playable for the fielder, makes the catch. Tagging and getting to second is Waugh. And just missed that one, but he's erased on the fly out to right field. Mullally now stepping up to the plate, a single, a walk, and a strikeout tonight. He has a runner in scoring position at second.
Ezekiel, when you think about it, just missed hitting that ball properly. Still hit it 250 feet.
Absolutely. Mullally with a huge cut. He was swinging for the fences on that one.
That is vintage Stephen Mullally. He'll have a rip at one of those first ones, try and get the pitcher a little overconfident, then he'll sit back and drive one.
There's Mullally. Fouls it off to the first base side at a plate. 0-2 on number 33. Oh, and 2 on Mullally here in the top of the 6th inning. 8-2 lead Canada. And swing and a miss for strike 3, and that will end Canada's at-bats in the top of the 6th. The walk left stranded, and Argentina has another chance to put some runs on the board, but they have some work in front of them. It's Canada 8, Argentina 2, headed to the bottom of the 6th.
Home Hardware welcomes all participants to Championship. They offer White Horse's only covered lumberyard. The Rush 96.1 FM is the official radio station of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship. Tune in for all the latest championship coverage or listen online at ckrw.com. Starting off for Argentina, the home team
It's a shower,
is
not
number 59, Alan Paquer.
grower, not a shower.
Alan Paquer stepping up to the plate to lead off this bottom of the sixth inning for Argentina. He's 0 for 2 on the night, strikeout and a ground out to the second baseman. Again, Canada with that in deep setup to eliminate any short game by the Argentina, the batter for Argentina, the second baseman, Brandon Horn, standing right beside Cleary.
And it was right there where Horn got a ground ball from Paquer last time up.
Ball sails in high. One and one, the count on Paquer. And that's another high pitch for a 2-1 count. We saw the Canadian bullpen get warm and a little loose last inning. Doesn't look like there's anybody up right now. Cleary's still in the circle.
Yeah, it's all quiet again. Schofield in the door of the dugout.
Fouled off. Paquer now at 2-2.
Paquer batting 200 here in the 2017 Men's World Championship. Not sure what sounds better, 200 or 1 for 5.
There's a slap hit right to the second baseman, Brandon Horn, for the first out of the inning.
Carbon copy of the last time Paquer was up. You think the Canadians got him scouted or what?
Well, that's where you have to make adjustments at this level, because as soon as the book is written, just makes it too easy on the defense.
Well, you think about it. If Horn's back at regular depth, that becomes a 2 or 3 hopper, and he's got to charge it, and Paquer's running hard. And now he's just standing there, picking it off, throwing it. Easy.
Malarchuk with a swing, a walk, and a strikeout tonight for the second baseman. 0-1 delivery coming in. Tries to bunt. And it's strike number 2.
Real interesting what I'm seeing from Argentina at the plate tonight. Not much of this last night. Paquer was trying to slap the ball, but the other guys were up there trying to hit the ball. Maybe they just feel overmatched by Sean Cleary.
Low and away.
But to me, it's certainly showing your hand to the Canadians that you feel like you can't hit their ace. That's a big confidence booster.
Malarchuk with the 1-2 count. Pitch comes in, that's popped up. Is it going to get out of play? Yes, it will. The classic heads-up call from everybody as it sails in the air.
About 9 rows back, everyone scampered, and then everyone giggles after it bounces off the bench and away from danger.
Still 1-2 on the batter.
Cleary didn't like the ball they threw out. That might have been the one from Diamond 2, so got himself a different one.
Pitch comes in and poked to the left fielder, and camped out is Johnson to make the out, and that's 2 away.
That's the first play Mark Johnson's had out there in left field tonight with 1 out in the 6th inning.
Manuel Godoy stepping up to the plate with 2 away here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
In fact, outside of the Juan Zara home run and a fly ball by Godoy. That was just the third ball hit to the outfield in the air by Team Argentina in this game.
I didn't see it.
1-0 pitch. Ready to come in. And that's low and outside for ball number 2.
They're supposed to spell crit.
These are the last games of day number 2, Canada, Argentina, and New Zealand, Czech Republic.
Walk like the dance. It's supposed to be spelled crit.
And there's a high fly ball. That's going to back Horn up. He calls for it and watches it into his glove for out number 3. And the Canadians in pretty good shape. They still have the 6-run lead as they go to the top of the 7th. And they have Hunter, Mason, and Johnson lined up for the inning. 8-2 Canada.
And the score is now 8 Canada, 2 Argentina. White Horse Motors and Budget Car and Truck Rental are the official vehicle supplier of the 2017 WBSC Men's World Softball Championship. Visit www.budget.com for the best deals on car, truck, and SUV rentals. Open 7 days a week with airport and in-town locations.
Not gonna happen. And I want to engage that digital zoom. Elliot.
We go to the top of the 7th. Blake Hunter coming up to the plate. A couple of strikeouts and a walk tonight as a designated player. Godoy still pitching for Argentina. Bounces that one in. And that's going to be a ball to start this at bat. Canada with the 6-run lead. Trying to close things out here. Maybe tack on a few more.
Blake Hunter's been a little bit cool tonight. Still looking for his first hit.
That ball comes in low. And that's the one thing you have to be careful of. You're anxious to get a hit, but you don't want to start swinging at bad pitches. And you saw him twist but hold that bat back, and he just did it again. Started the motion and was able to hold it up on a bad pitch. 3-0 now. Comes in for another ball, and that's base on balls for Mr. Hunter as the leadoff batter. On the base pass for Canada, Derek Mason coming in now. He's 1 for 3 on the night.
That kind of works. That kind of works.
No need for Canada to get run happy on the base pass. There's a strike. Mason looked up a little bit on that outside corner call.
They've been living out there on Mason, or at least trying to.
There he is. He drives it up the middle. Nice play. Little shovel pass and a double play by Argentina as the second baseman, Malarchuk, made the nice backhanded stab. A little shovel pass to Gustavo Godoy at short, and the throw to Mata at first completes the double play.
For my money, early in the tournament, Ladislao Malarchuk has been the best second baseman defensively. I've seen both Argentina's games, and he has been slick.
There's a punch to the pitcher, and that will do it for the inning as Mark Johnson is the third out. Canada will go to the defense to the bottom of the 7th, 8-2 lead over Argentina.
We'd like to thank Mizuno for their support of the World Baseball Softball Confederation. Mizuno is an official supplier of the WBSC and the Men's World Championship. And this event would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors, including our premier sponsor, Pepsi. Pepsi, the Yukon's choice. And the 2017 WBSC Men's World Championship is funded in part by the government join us in thanking our volunteer sponsor, Air North, Yukon's Airlines. Please join us in thanking our official suppliers, Air North, Molson Coors, Home Hardware, White Horse Motors, Super Safe Fence Rental, Patrick Robert's Productions, The Rush 96.1 FM, and Standard Bus Yukon. And please join us in thanking our community sponsors, the City of Whitehorse, Micmac Toyota, North 60 Petro, Pizza Hut, and Total Track Yukon.
To the bottom of the 7th we go, and Sean Cleary on the field to try to finish what he started tonight. It's been a great performance for the Canadian ace, and he'll face Bruno Matroni here. The catcher reached on an error back in the 2nd inning, struck out in the 4th. Canada trying to pick up its 2nd win of the tournament, and Matroni swings through one for strike number 1. Again, Canada, after tonight, will face the U.S. on day 3 tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Pacific. And for Argentina, a 12:30 start against Hong Kong tomorrow afternoon. And Matroni pounces on one. Look out. And that hits the top of the far fence. And Matroni with the monster shot.
It actually hit about 20 feet up the mesh behind the far fence. I'm going to stack cast that one at about 325.
So the catcher catches up to Cleary, home run shot, and it is now 8-3. And the Canadian bullpen back to work as number 55, Justin Schofield, gets up just in case. Still a 5-run lead for Canada. Godoy up to bat, the shortstop, Gustavo Godoy. He is 0 for 2 on the night. Ground out to short and a strikeout.
That's Bruno Matroni's 2nd home run of the tournament in his 2nd game.
And Godoy able to top one to the shortstop, and that's caught for out number 1.
Excellent range by Chris Walushka, going deep into the hole behind Derek Mason. And turned out he had lots of time to make the play.
Ron Zara has had a 2 for 2 night, a single and then a solo shot back in the 5th inning, so he can swing the bat. And that comes in, and Bolin not too happy about that call.
See, Ryan walked out a little bit.
Slammed his glove in the dirt in front of him.
Few words for the home plate umpire.
Oh, we've seen Matroni with a few actions as well and behind the plate for Argentina. Here's the pitch. That's high. Zara now 2-0. Cheers from his teammates. Cleary 2-0 on the batter. Zara watches that sail low and inside for 3-0. And now Cleary in danger of putting a runner on, but you don't want to make a mistake to Zara. He has pop. 3-0 pitch going up here. And that comes in off the plate. So a 4-pitch walk to the designated player for Argentina puts Zara on base. Emil Mamada coming up to the plate now. He's had an off night, a strikeout and a ground out to the pitcher. 0 for 2. Watches the ball come in low. And you have to wonder if Mata somehow gets on, if the Canadian coaching staff will think about bringing in Schofield.
I think they may. There's a little bit of frustration between the pitcher and the catcher for Team Canada right now.
There's a good off-speed pitch, gets Mata out in front. Strike number 1.
The flip side of that is Sean Cleary's been in this situation before, and whether he feels he's not getting his pitch or not, he'll go to work and challenge the hitter.
1-1 pitch comes in, that's a little too high. 2-1 is now the count. 8-3 lead for Canada here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Both teams winning their opening games on day number 1. There's a swing by Mata. And it's 2-2. Gonzalo Ojeda, the 9th hitter in this lineup, still out in the warm-up circle, and now the coaching staff calling time, talking with Mata. Two and two count. And that's called the ball. 3-2 now, and Mata getting himself in position for an opportunity. One away. And that sails in high. Mata will take the walk. And here comes the Canadian coach. And this could be it for Cleary.
John Stewart's going to saunter out to the mound. 1 down, 2 on here in the 7th inning. Actually, that might be pitching coach Dean Holine. Hard to tell with the glare.
I think it is Dean. Little discussion with Cleary and crew. And Cleary he's going to stay in here. He's going to get the support from the coaching staff and his teammates to try to finish this off.
In the meantime, we've got a pinch runner coming in at first base. Matthias Minaguti will take over at first base for Huemel Mata.
Ojeda up at the plate. He struck out and grounded out to the second baseman. 0 for 2 on the night. Cleary with the delivery and fouled off by Ojeda.
Well, whatever Dean Holine had to say on his mound visit has settled his pitcher down, and that's exactly why you send him out there. Back to attacking the hitters instead of trying to get them to chase. And maybe that long home run by Bruno Matroni kind of rattled the ace a little bit, but he seems to be back in there now.
0-2 the count. Trying to get this second out of the inning, and that's high and outside. Cheers from the crowd, trying to energize Cleary in this situation. Swing and a miss by Ojeda on a nice off-speed pitch. And now Argentina down to its last out with Teo Migliavaca coming up to the plate. 0 for 3 on the night. 1 for 2 on the night. He singled back in the third.
So Brandon Horn is at mid-range. They are in the slap bunt defense even with 2 runners on because they do not care about those 2 runners.
Yeah, they don't mean anything. The only thing they're up for is statistics on Cleary's earned runs. But 2 away here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Choi was pretty confident that she was going to fall.
0-1 pitch coming in. And nice job by Ryan Boland running the ball out because there's nobody covering second base. And the third base shortstop comes over to cover third, and Boland jumps out and runs the runner back to the bag. So 0-2 now, and 2 away. Migliavaca for Argentina stepping into the box. Cleary looking for the complete game here, and Canada's second win. 0-2 pitch comes in, punch to the second baseman, and throw is caught by Mullally as Brandon Horn stayed with it, and Canada wins it 8-3 to go 2-0 here in Whitehorse. But a tough challenge coming up for Team Canada tomorrow. They'll face the U.S. tomorrow night, 7 o'clock start time, and for Argentina at 1-1, they go to Hong Kong and will play at 12:30.
Well, it was quite an interesting affair. Canada jumped out to a big lead, and Argentina hung around, but unable to get any more runs across. Our ballpark broadcasting player of the game tonight is going to be Bradley Ezekiel, whose 3-run home run back in the really broke this game open, and there was no looking back from then for Canada.
So congratulations, Brad, and the rest of the crew going to 2-0 here in the early going, and you want to pick up as many wins as you possibly can in the early part of the tournament. So a great start for Canada. For Argentina, they'll try to regroup and figure out what they can do better next time, and we'll face Hong Kong tomorrow afternoon.
Excellent night here at the ballpark, Steve. A sunny one at that. The fans go home happy. Team Canada out to a 2-0 record here in Pool A, and that's going to do it for day 2 at the WBSC.
Yeah, the final score here, 8-3 for Canada in Game 16 on day number 2 over Argentina. And be sure to stay tuned for the next broadcast here on Sports Canada TV, and that's going to come tomorrow as we end day number 2 here at the Pepsi Park. Remember, every game, every pitch, every inning right here on Sports Canada TV. Be sure and check out the official website for the complete schedule. On behalf of Chris Abbott and the rest of the ballpark broadcasting crew, I'm Steve Sabern, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.